welcome to the green Khans of Tarkir limited set review. Today I'm going to be going over the cards that are coming to Arena very shortly, as if they just came out and no one's ever played with them, because I haven't played with them, and so I'm going to treat them as if, I have no information about them. I do have some information, right, like we know that it's an older format. I do actually own some of the cards, like in actual physical paper, but I never actually played with like them in the draft. Like I never drafted them or anything. It was just kind of like, hey, my parents got me this when I was younger, and like whatever type deal. So I'm familiar with some of the mechanics, but I have never actually played the set, and there are many people who have. So if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for like, oh man, get the inside thing, that's not what I have for you today. What I have for you today is like, hey, let's see if I can evaluate, older cards, see how they're going to perform in a modern limited player base on Magic Arena. How am I going to be doing that? Well, let's take a look really quickly here. I use 5 tiers to grade cards, just like any other type of limited set review that I do. Tier 1 is the good cards, Tier 5 is the very bad cards. You can feel free to read the descriptions here, but they're pretty simple. And we're just going to get right into it with Alpine Grizzly here. 2 and a green for a 4/2. And that's it. That's the whole thing. So, there is a 4-power theme in this set. Right, like there's like a give and a take with this card, right? The give is that, it enables your 4-power theme. It is pretty large, right, for a 3-drop in this day and age. The real problem with this card is Morph, because Morph creatures, just like everybody is playing 3-mana 2/2s, and this just is horrible against a 3-mana 2/2. Now it does blow, like people can't really do the Morph, like I'm going to flip my thing and then transform it, like into something that kills this. That doesn't really happen. But I think like you can, like I put this in tier 3 because I'm like, you can kind of play it. Again, they're like some of these vanilla creatures where it's just like, I mean, maybe it like kind of does something, right? I don't know. They've printed basically this in recent sets and it's been like unplayably bad, but again, this is, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. Maybe I'm overrating the, like, I had this lower at first and then I was like, I don't know. It's like, if your opponent doesn't morph on 3, it's probably the biggest thing and it's like doing stuff. But I don't know, not super excited by any means. Archer's Parapet. 1 and a green for an 0/5 with 1 and a black tap. Each opponent loses 1 life. I mean, this looks like sort of playable. I mean, again, there's a lot of cards in this set that are, there's a lot of defenders in this set, I guess I should say. And this is one of them. And at least this one, like, it does a thing, right? You have black mana in your deck, you can start killing your opponent slowly. They don't really want to use resources killing an 0/5. They kind of can't kill an 0/5 in a lot of cases. There's just not a lot of removal that targets like 5 toughness creatures. Combat tricks are a lot worse, so it's harder to like push through them too. I don't know. It seems like it could be okay. I don't think you want to like load up on them, but again, if you have green and black mana, this card seems serviceable enough to me. Awaken the Bear. 2 and a green for an instant. Target creature gets +3/+3 and gains trample until end of turn. So we just saw this in, or are currently seeing this in Ixalan, except it's 2 mana, and that card's really, really good. So this card, I mean, when you add mana onto a combat trick, it becomes, basically about 1/3 as good as if you didn't add a mana onto it. Like, it really is punishing, like, a lot the more mana you add to a combat trick, but, I mean, like, I have this as not completely unplayable just because, trample is good, still good, and, 3 mana easier to leave up in this set, maybe? Yeah, I don't know. I'm still not seeing this. I'm not seeing this card being great. 3 is just a lot of mana. It's just too much mana, I think. Become Immense. 5 and a green for an instant with Delve. Target creature gets +6/+6 until end of turn. So I like this a lot better. Delve is obviously good. I think Delve, this card specifically with Delve, because green doesn't have a lot of Delve cards, I don't believe, is actually very good because you can use it and not feel bad about like turning off your other Delve cards. And 6 is a lot of stats, right? +6/+6, it's a lot of stats. You can use this to kill people, or if you have something with trample, it just is enormous. Like, I don't know, I kind of like this card. Like, again, you can't play like 10 of them, or I don't even know if you want to play like 3 of them. But I think the first one is solid, right? Like, it does make your creature big, man. It makes it freaking huge. Still run into blowouts, but again, there's not that much instant speed interaction, these days. Like, it's just not a thing, really. So, I like it. Yeah. Dragon Scale Boon, I do not like. 3 and a green for an instant, put 2+1/+1 counters on target creature and untap it. So this card is so bad that in the Baldur's Gate set last year, they printed this exact card, except it also gave a creature hexproof and also attached a 7-mana 7/6 dragon onto it. And that card was good. And that still wasn't like even the best green common, but it was a good card. So that really goes to show you how bad this card is. Yeah, no, I mean it's not very good. It's just too much mana. You know, it's just not. I mean the +1/+1 counters is nice. There are +1/+1 counter themes, but you just can't be holding up 4 mana to do this. Feed the Clan. 1 and a green for an instant. You gain 5 life if you have. You gain 10 life instead if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. They don't make them like this anymore, do they? Man, back in my day, they made, you know, straight up cards that just straight up gained you life. Those were the good times. I do want them to like push the barriers with this one day and like make one of these that's just like gain 25 life. Like this is just like if this gained you 25 life, would it be playable? I don't know. Maybe. It might be. But yeah, no. Someday they're gonna someday they're gonna go back to like straight life gain and make it. The problem is if you make it like good, it's just like the worst thing to play against ever because it's just like, well, they gained 1,000,000 life and now the game takes forever. So yeah, it's not a great way to design cards, and that's why they don't do it anymore. Harden Scales, Modern All-Star, single green mana for an enchantment. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters will be placed on a creature you control, that many +1 are placed on it instead. I think this is too hard to enable. Tier 5 is probably a bit harsh, but again, like Outlast is a thing. Yeah, it's a thing. It's not a thing, but you know, your cards just have to do like. There's a lot of cards. I mean, maybe you have more time. Like maybe you just straight up have enough time in this set to be like, hey, my card doesn't do anything when it enters the battlefield. It literally doesn't do anything. I'm mulliganing until like I gain a +1/+1 counter, additional +1/+1 counter on my creature. I'm sure in some decks this is fine, but again, like there's a lot of concerns with can you enable this and have it do something? Like, cause Outlast is slow, man. It's slow. Like you have to play this. First Outlast creature's probably a 3-drop. Then on turn 4, you're getting an additional counter. It's like, oh man, like we really. And like so, 1 mana, give a creature +1/+1. Not very good. So it's gotta give +2/+2, right? For it to be a good card. And then it's probably fine, right? Then it's like okay. I don't know. I'm pretty off this style of card where it's just like, hey, maybe I'll reward you for doing stuff. Obviously, great constructed card or whatever, but not for limited. I don't think. Hair of the Wilds. 1 and a green for a 2/2 with Death Touch. When it attacks, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Yeah, this is really solid. So 2 mana 2/2 Death Touch is really big. Obviously, again, like against a morph, it's not the best, but it does, you know. They can't do the thing where they flip their morph guy and eat your dude. Like it just has Death Touch, so they kind of are like, well, I'm not super thrilled. It attacks into morph stuff if you have that creature with power 4 or greater. And there are some. There's, you know, commons, there's some, you know, we talked about the 3 mana 4/2, there's, you know, the Delve guy hooting mandrels that I think is good and, you know, you might want to play, so, you know, I could certainly see you having 4 power stuff. So, yeah, I rather like it. I think it's solid. I think it's a solid card, and I'm pretty happy with it. Again, there's like a cycle of these uncommon 2-drops that I'm like, yeah, these are the 2-drops you want. But there's really not a whole lot of common 2-drops that you want. Highland game. 1 and a green for a 2/1. When it dies, you gain 2 life. Tier 5 is probably a bit harsh, honestly, but, like, man, it's so bad. Like, it just isn't good. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't do anything. I don't know. There's not really a whole lot to talk about with Highland game. Hooded Hydra. X green for a 0/0. It enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. When it dies, put a 1/1 green snake creature token onto the battlefield for each +1/+1 counter on it, and it has morph for 3 green. When it is turned face up, put 5 +1/+1 counters on it. So I think most of the time you're just going to be morphing this. You need to have, what, 8 mana for you not to want to morph this, basically. Because you can morph and then flip on the same turn even for 8 mana, which doesn't, so it doesn't actually even do anything. But I mean, yeah, maybe it dodges removal, I guess, if you have that. Doesn't dodge counter spells though, so there's, you know, there's a give and a take there, right? Yeah, this is just really good. It's just a lot of stats, right? Like, you morph this for 3, on turn 5 you flip it over. Your opponent probably just loses, because, like, it's like, how do they beat the like a 5 mana 5/5 haste that has, that when it dies makes 5 1/1s? They don't, really. There's not a whole lot of removal that enables you to, you know, exile or whatever. So, this just seems like super strong to me. Hooting Mandrels, 5 and a green for a 4/4 Delve Trample. So, the thing I like about Hooting Mandrels is that if you delve this for 2, it's a good card, right? I think it's just a good card. 4 mana 4/4 Trample in these times is just, you know, that's pretty above rate, right? And even a 5 mana 4/4 Trample isn't, you know, a nightmare. Like, they printed a 5 mana 4/4 Defender in black, right? Like, this is like a 5 making this 5 mana should be trivial. Like, you should do it every single game. It should be no problem. Making it a 4 mana 4/4 is a bit tougher. That's you know, you're gonna need some help there. Probably you're gonna need to trade with your opponent's stuff. You know, all that good stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you make a 4 mana 4/4 Trample, that's gonna just be real good. Like, that's gonna be really good. And sometimes in the mid to late game, you just like draw this and you get a double spell, and that's really strong. So I like a Hooting Mandrels. Yeah, that's how I feel about Hooting Mandrels. Incremental Growth, 3 green for a sorcery. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on another target creature, and 3 +1/+1 counters on a third target creature. So yeah. I mean, they could have honestly templated this the other way, and it would be better. But still, you know, I mean, this card is, you know, at the end of the day, this is a lot of stats, right? It's 6 stats for 6 mana. You do need to have 3 creatures, right? So you need 3 creatures, which is not easy to do, right? You need, and it is 5 mana, and it's a sorcery, and that's why. But I think it's like, it's enough stats that I'm like, maybe you can play this, and it's not a complete disaster. And there are counter themes and whatnot, so yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. You go Harden Scales into this, man, you're really doing it. And to somehow have 3 creatures on the board, you know, we're really, it'll happen to you. Kyr Warden, single green mana for a 1/1 with 2 to regenerate it, and it has a morph for a single green. Weird card. Just the weirdest. I don't know, don't play it. Maybe you can, I mean, this one seems kind of playable. You can make a 3 mana 2/2. I mean, 1 mana 1/1 2 regenerate it is, you know, you can chump block for a long time. A really long time. How much is that valuable in your green decks? Not very valuable, I don't think. Seems pretty bad, but maybe I'm just completely wrong on this. I don't know. It just seems like the worst morph payoff ever. Yeah, it's only 1 green mana. Okay, fine. Right. Man, I bet morph's going to be a nightmare to program on Arena. As a tangent, like, man, that just seems like an absolute nightmare. I don't know how they're going to do that, but I guess they're going to figure it out. Longshot Squad. 3 and a green for a 3/3 with Outlast. For 1 and a green. Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter has reach. Yeah, like this. I don't know, it seems solid. Again, this is, you know, Hill Giant era, right? You can play a Hill Giant, and you don't just lose the game on the spot like you do these days. And, you know, giving your Outlast stuff, the creature's counters reach is nice, and this king can get reach over, like, 2 turns, which, I don't know, is okay-ish? Yeah. I don't know. I don't hate it. I think it's fine. Meandering Tower Shell, 3 green for a 5/9 island walk. When it attacks, exile it. Return to the battlefield under your control, tapped and attacking at the beginning of the declare attacker step on your next turn. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it 100% real with you. This is the weirdest card I've ever seen. Nothing in the text box of this card makes any sense. So it's a 5 mana 5/9. So we've already got the weirdest stat line ever. Like, it's extremely weird. It's literally unkillable. You can't kill it with with damage. It's not possible for it to die. It has Island Walk. Why does it have Island Walk? I don't know. It's a turtle. Sure, I guess. Why not? And then when it attacks, it it does it next. Dude, I don't know. You lose it for 2 turns when basically it has Exert. It has Exert is what it has. Essentially, it has Exert, except it's worse than Exert because you don't even get the damage up front. So I put it in tier 3 because I don't know how good it is. It's like if you just treat this as a 5-mana 5/9 defender, like I don't know how good is a 5-mana 5/9 defender. It's fine. It's good. It's like I think if your opponent ever attacks with this, they probably aren't doing something right. But then again, like it's so weird. This is the weirdest card. I think this might be the weirdest card ever printed. To be honest with you, like ever, like so weird, so weird. Anyways, I put it in tier 3 because I threw up my hands and said, whatever, I don't want to deal with grading this card. There's a lot of stats. It's a lot of stats. Admittedly, it's a lot of stats. You have to admit the stats they're high, but it's just, you know, hard to get me excited, huh? Naturalize. We've seen this before. 1 mana green instant, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Not for this set. There's just not enough of them. It's simple. You're not going to play it. And you probably shouldn't ever even sideboard this in, so people will tell you you should, you probably shouldn't. Pine Walker, 3 green for a 5/5 with morph for 4 and a green. When it or another creature you control is turn face up, untap that creature. So this is kind of nice, right? You can attack with it, and then you can do like the I'll attack, and then on your turn you attack me. I flip the morph, untap it, and then eat your guy. So that's really good. Maybe I should put this in tier 2. But again, like I have such a hard time being like, man, yeah, freaking 5-mana 5/5. That's gonna be a tier 2 card, right? Like my brain refuses to allow it. I refuse to look at cards and be like, oh, that card's, you know, playable. It seems fine. It seems fine to me. Seems decent. I don't know. I don't think you're gonna like be cutting this card. But again, you can't load up on 5-drops, right? Do I think this is better or worse than the turtle? The turtle blocks it. The turtle blocks it. Rattleclaw Mystic. 1 and a green for 2/1 with the ability to tap to add for green, blue, or red. It has morph for 2 colorless, and when it's turned up, you add 3 or you add Teamer mana to your mana pool. Yeah, I mean this card's fine. It's a mana dork. You're probably gonna play it on 2 too most of the time. It does fix your mana too in Teamer. It's weird because like, you know, they didn't print like another one of these. I don't think they didn't print like a. Hold on, I'm gonna know what it is. Abzan. They didn't print like an Abzan one of these to go with this one, which is rare. But yeah, this is fun. It's a fine card. I don't know. Not super interesting, but probably fine. It does, I guess, theoretically accelerate your mana, maybe. Roar of Challenge. 2 and a green for a sorcery. All creatures able to block target creature this turn do so. And if the creature gains indestructible if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. So yeah, this is just we've seen this type of card a lot. It's way too situational. Like it just doesn't do anything a lot of the time, and then like it doesn't do the things that you want it to do. Like yes, it makes all of their stuff block, but like what if they have decent blocks? You know, what if they have anything? What if they ever have anything, and then this card is terrible. So yeah, I just don't like this card very much. Sag Archer. 4 and a green for 2/5 reach with morph for 4 and a green. Why this doesn't have morph for 3 and a green, I could not tell you. But you know, morph reach, it's nice, right? There's a lot of flyers, right? Just flying around. They're all tiny because it's, you know, a long time ago. So this actually blocks like pretty much every flyer, and that's nice. You know, sneak secret reach, right? Like it's just. Secret Reach gets people, and will continue to get people to this day. I still don't think it's very good, right? It's just another 5-drop. Like, oh man, I'm loading up on my 5-drops, right? Like, I can't have enough 5-drops. I mean, yes, you can put more 5-drops because Morph exists, and you can play this as a 3-drop. But like, man, like I just don't. That does not like make me excited. Savage Punch. 1 and a green for sorcery. Target creature you control fights. Target creature you don't control. The creature you control gets +2/+2 if you have a creature with power 4 or greater. This is probably fine, but, you know, 2-mana fight is pretty bad. Even, like, a 2-mana bite is, like, it's usually good. Like, it's usually a fine card, totally acceptable. But 2-mana fight is pretty bad. And, yes, you're gonna, like, be able to make your thing bigger sometimes. How often? I don't know. Probably not as often as you'd like. So I'm putting this in tier 4. Like, I don't think it's very good. But maybe you want it. Maybe I'm underestimating. Maybe I'm like, oh, the format's just, like, so slow. You always get something with 4 power. Scout at the Borders. 2 and a green for a sorcery. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library and put a creature or a land card from one of them into your hand. Put the rest into your graveyard. It's funny, they just printed this as an instant, and you get 2 things instead of one. So, you know, that makes me think this card's really bad. This is what that makes me think about this card, because that card, it's good, it's fine, it's totally okay, but it's, you know, this card is not any of those things. See the Unwritten. 4 green for sorcery, reveal the top 8 cards of your library and put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield, put the rest into your graveyard. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you may put 2 creature cards onto the battlefield instead of 1. No. No thanks. Even if you have a creature power 4 or greater, you probably aren't getting more than 6 mana worth value out of this. Like, you're drawing 2 cards, but you're not really drawing 2 cards. I don't know. This just seems horrible. It just seems so bad. Yes, it's 8 cards, right? So you probably get 2 creatures. I don't know. I just... why? Like, wouldn't you rather just have a creature in your hand that you could cast? That's sort of how I feel about this. Is I'm just like, couldn't I just have the thing that I want to cast in my hand and then just play it on curve? Couldn't I just play my 4-drop, right? Like, I don't know. At least there's no mana value restrictions on the creatures. That's nice, but I just don't think this is very good. Seek the Horizon. 3 and a green for sorcery. Search your library for up to 3 basic land cards revealed and put them into your hand. Shuffle your library. Whoa, it's freaking harmonized, dude. It's harmonized, man. You draw 3 cards for 4 mana. Whoa, they're all lands. All the cards are lands. Yep. Smoke Teller. 1 on the green for 2/2. Pay 1 and a blue to look at target face down creature. I mean, the ability is like completely useless. Like, it's really bad. But a 2-mana 2/2 is like, it threatens to block all the morph stuff. It attacks into the morph stuff. Assuming they don't have the mana up. I don't know. It's a 2-mana play, right? Like, it's play you can make on 2 mana. There's not too many of them. So I'm like hesitant to put it too low, right? Suti Flare. 3 and a green for a 3/4. When a creature you control with toughness 4 or greater dies, you gain 4 life. Nope. No interest in this one. It's a 4 mana 3/4, and when it dies, you gain 4 life. Okay, great, excellent. There's not, it's just not that good. Timber Charger. 1 and a green for a 3/1 with morph. Reveal a green card from your hand, and when it's turn face up, target creature gains trample until end of turn. Yeah, I don't hate it, right? It's again good. Like, this is about as good of a 2-drop as you're gonna get, and you can play it on 3 for morph, and you can give something trample in like the late game and like surprise your opponent and all that good stuff. And like, that seems good to me. That seems like a solid thing to be doing. I like this card. And again, you do need a green card to do the morph thing, but you can just play it on 2, and you're probably gonna play it on 2 a lot. Trail of Mystery. 1 and a green for an enchantment. Whenever a face-down creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. Whenever a permanent you control is turned face up, if it's a creature, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like this, right? You play this on 2, you play a morph on 3, you get your card back because this gets you a land, right? And then at some point during the game, it gives your thing +2/+2. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it, right? It's obviously a terrible top deck, right? It's awful off the top of your deck, but like, I feel like it can do something, right? Like, I feel like, it's a decent amount of card advantage. I know Harmonize, lands only is not the same, but this does provide tempo to the board in the mid to late game, and you are going to be playing morph creatures in your deck, so I don't hate it. Tust Colossus, 4 green for 6/5. Yep, I mean, I don't know, we're playing 6 mana 6/5s. I'm not super interested in it. Double pip, all that good stuff. Maybe this is a tier 4 card and you can play it and it's not a complete nightmare. And honestly, that might be the case, but I don't know, I'm over its mates. So, like, we have morph creatures. Morph creatures just do what this does better, where you can play them on 3 instead of like having to hold them in your hand, right? Tust Captain. 2 and a green for 2/3 with Outlast for single green, and each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has trample. Yeah, it's fine, right? 2 mana 2/3, 3 mana 2/3. Good in this format, I would think. And then you just start outlasting this, and it becomes bigger over time, and then it has trample, and then it can attack. It's slow, right? It's very, very slow. But I do think it's totally serviceable. And if you have other like +1/+1 counter synergy stuff, it's nice. It's a nice card to have. So no hating on for me on Tust Captain. Windstorm, X and a green, instant. It deals X damage to each creature with flying. Nope. Just don't. Nope, not interested. And the last green card is Wolyloxodon. For 5 green, it's a 6/7. It's a morph for 5 and a green. Looks pretty good, honestly. Like I have played with this card actually. One of the very few cards I have played with in this set. And you do like it is big. Like it's large. Like it is a 6/7 for 6. A lot of the time, you get to attack in with your 2/2, and they're like, well, he's got 6 green mana up. Maybe I'll block. And it's like, no, you shouldn't. It's Wolyloxodon's just bit. There are going to be some bad beats, like or not some bad beats, some bad plays early in this format where people are like, I'm gonna block your 2/2 morph, and then they're gonna go, oh, it transformed into a freaking 6/7. Oh, well, I guess I'm just gonna lose my thing that I blocked with then. And this thing's big. This is a big dude. And it is only 6 mana, 6/7, not so bad, huh? Not so bad. And a 7 mana 6/7 is, you know, whatever, right? Like it's fine. Like, I don't think it's that bad. Yeah, I mean that's green. That's the green cards, green. You know, this was back when green was like a playable color unlimited. I think. Who knows? Hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and see you next time.